I mean, how do we intro this?
Oh God, we don't even have a name for the podcast yet. It's just the Jawa Podcast. Name pending.
Should it be like the Jawa Outpost or something? Or
Yeah, what's the that works. So we can whatever we'll have whatever title we come up with by the end on the video, so people will know what we settled
right?
on.
It's the Outpost with Thomas and Ryan from Jawa.
Yeah. So what? Let's see. Want to get into the GPU market? I feel like that's a strong start.
Yeah, the GPU market is broken, or is it?
So
Oh,
with
yeah. What? Go ahead.
no, so with Nvidia putting out these like 8 gig cards in 2025 for these 60 tier at like $300 is crazy. It feels like, because that's the same that the 3070 had.
Yeah,
And
we were hoping for AMD to kind of swoop in and be different, but really they're all repeating the same steps, and the greed is becoming more visually apparent across both AMD and Nvidia because okay, the AMD what is it? I can't even keep track now. 7060 or
9060 XT, yeah, and
the 9060 XT. The performance is okay, price is okay, but again, they're trying the same tactics as Nvidia. It's like, oh, we'll release the card with 8 gigs, but we're gonna do all of our performance and everything off the 16 gig card. So it's really deceptive to consumers because it's not the same. I mean,
yeah,
with the growing VRAM requirements, like 8 gig is just it's okay for 1080p for the most part, but we're getting to a point where 1080p is it's only the consensus because nobody can afford better, and
yeah,
nothing's supports better, like because it doesn't have enough VRAM.
yeah, and having these like AMD copying Nvidia's tactics when they were supposed, for years they were put as like the good guy in the space, but as soon as they got a little bit of market share, they immediately started copying the Nvidia tactics and went right back to it.
It's the same thing, but whether it's from the benchmarks or from just their marketing material, like they're doing the same exact stuff that Nvidia did, and it's kind of disgusting to see it because you wanted to root for AMD at first, but now it's like, who do we root for? Do we root for Intel?
It's where the Intel's become like the I don't know, dark horse good guy that people are like rooting for to come out and like correct the market a bit with their like battle mage releases.
I almost feel like some of that too is because there's been that coverage with like Gamers Nexus around like the developers like showing the work that they're doing. So like Steve's had those conversations where he's like videotaping with one of their lead product developers and showing like, oh, the driver process, like they're working on it really hard, and it makes you feel like they are the underdog in this.
Yeah.
But how long is that going to last? wait until Intel gets a banger out, like a high-end system, and then they start doing the same thing everybody else is doing.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a few more years of some good releases before it gets to the point where they're feeling like they're confident enough to do that again. Yeah, and like the other part is of all the like GPU market stuff is it feels like the used market prices don't go down the way they used to. I remember when releases would come out, it would drive the price down of the last gen, and it kind of just feels like everything's priced to like slot in just above of last year's. So there's really not been these like impacts to the like used pricing that we would have seen in years past.
That's kind of an important topic too, is that like the Jawa store pricing. So I set the pricing for that, and I set like our offer pricing and everything like that. And I thought I would be updating pricing much more, but it's really like I'm updating pricing maybe every 3 or 4 months. Like, and that's generally around a release schedule. But the thing is like I'm not really lowering prices that much because the market demand's just not.
Yeah,
The prices are staying just about the same or going up slightly because these disappointing releases.
Yeah, like the 5060, I thought, and like the 5060 Ti would have been really aimed at like getting rid of the 3070 out of the like market, and the 4060 didn't do it. The 4060 Ti didn't do it. These and then now the 5060, it's the used price of a 3070 is not really gone below that price point of the new cards, and they're really comparable. When it like a 3070 should be like a sub $200 card at this point, and they're really just not going for that low yet.
And like the features they're pushing, the DLSS and everything like that, it's like that's not as important at that tier of card. It's like that's more important for like if you're trying to do 4K or 8K or something like that. That's where like that frame gen really comes in handy. But like 1080p gaming, like frame gen, I mean, you're not using it in the competitive scene because it
Yeah.
introduces latency. So like who when they talk about those features like, oh, we've got improved ray tracing or improved DLSS and blah blah blah. It's like, who is that really for? Like,
Yeah, because
is
you're
it really
upscaling
for your
720p,
average? Yeah, right.
and the base quality gets so low on those upscaling at that point where it's not a good feature. And like the frame gen stuff, you can make an argument for, but those cards, like you were saying, esports is really the like ideal market for those like budget to mid range. I get like it's so weird that we're calling the 60 $300 60 series $300 cards budget, but when they don't release anything cheaper,
Oh yeah.
it's effectively for a new card the budget card when that used to be
I
our
always laugh
mid-range
whenever they
standard.
bring esports into it, as if like anybody in esports is using anything less than like a 4080. Like nobody's using those lower end cards for esports. If they are, it's because they're an up and comer. But at the same time, it's like they're not really at the same competitive level.
Yeah, especially in the US. It's a little bit different in like the Asia market where they've got like the LAN cafe culture, and those might be outfitted with those like 60 series cards. But here, that's definitely not the way the market is. The esports is honestly the highest level of performance, especially with like the X3D chips and the frame rate stability that people are like pursuing. It's a different
Wild.
world. Yeah.
Not 1080p anymore, guys. Like, oh man. It's like in the competitive scene, it's like, yeah, they're getting to where it's like 600 FPS now. It's like your monitor can't even handle it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
monitors that can handle it, but at that point, like you are really at like the ultra professional level because like your average consumer is not paying $1,200 for a 600 hertz monitor.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you for the most part, but it does feel like we're getting a little bit of like monitor spending creep. And I think it's a good thing actually for the community where like it's more normal now to spend more of your budget on a good monitor. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to just be like whatever hand-me-down monitor or current, whatever you found on Facebook or Jawa for used cheap monitor. Now it's like people are spending, a good portion of their budget on, the budget OLEDs or the high refresh rate TN panels that they can get. So it's I think there is a little bit of like cultural shift around the like monitor purchasing decision.
That's a good segue into the next topics, Thomas.
Oh yeah, our what makes a good gaming keyboard, mouse, and monitor in 2025. Well,
Yeah, I mean, you already kind of started it. Why don't you give us the gist of what makes a good monitor in 2025?
Well, if you're buying new, I think it's really hard to like avoid looking at the budget OLEDs because you can get into an OLED monitor now, like a new one from one of the budget brands for $500 to $600. That's not cheap, but if you're looking at like a monitor upgrade and you're shopping new, I really think you should be looking at like an OLED. Just the quality, the contrast, and like the smoothness. Even though that sometimes it won't be as high refresh rate, but the smoothness an OLED brings is really
the response times too.
yeah.
You get that literally like zero response time. So it's like less than a millisecond or whatever. Was it like 0.2 or something crazy?
Yeah. I remember when it was like a millisecond response time was like great when I was first shopping for gaming monitors. People were like, that was like the gold standard. And now it's like everyone's on OLEDs and it
was like under 5 was like great. It was like good, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like laptops, you'd be lucky to get something that was under 5 most of the time.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, we've gotten a lot better monitor technology. That's definitely an area that has improved. So yeah, I think, and if you're in that like over $500 range, those budget OLEDs are really where you have to look. And if you're under that, you can get a 1440p like IPS monitor with like 144 to 240 hertz for like $200 to $300 easily now for good monitors.
People, I love OLED. Don't get me wrong. Everybody loves OLED. But some of these IPS panels that they're coming out with, like really, it's getting near quality to OLED. It's obviously you're never gonna have the same blacks because it's just functionally they don't work the same, right? Like OLED, it's literally it's off. That's black. It's the purest that you're gonna get. But these IPS panels that they're coming out with are just like really great quality. I mean, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
what when I had one recently that it was like a Predator monitor, but it like if you put it side by side next to my OLED, it's not bad. Like it's not terrible quality, and it's about half the price. And you're getting similar performance. You're still getting the under 5 millisecond response times, 1440p. I think it's like 160 hertz, 165. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's really great for like, for that price range. Then that like, it's just totally, it's so much better than it used to be, because like you used to pay like $300 for a 1080p 120 FPS TN panel with awful gray with green
Dog
looking.
watercolors, like
Yeah.
there's no color accuracy going on there. So
Yeah. No, monitors has been one of the biggest areas of improvement recently. And then the other big area I think that we've been seeing some improvement, surprisingly, is keyboards. In the last 2 or 3 years, since we've been getting these like magnetic analog keyboards where they have like the switches that can like detect pressure and how far you push them. I think that's
yeah, they
like,
get the special optical switches too, which are really interesting to me. Like what you mentioned, how they can actually determine like the amount of pressure, like the actuate. That's what it is, the actuation. Like so, like the amount of actuation you can actually like adjust that now, and that's crazy to me. It's like that level of precision. It makes me wonder like how often that's being used in like the top esports things. Is like are there literally people like adjusting their per key actuations? Because if so, that's nuts to me.
oh, they're doing it. My father got one of those keyboards. They're actually really like decently cheap now. You can get like the Corsair one for like 120. And so
That's
he got one
crazy.
of those, and he's got his gaming keys separately pressure adjusted than the rest of his keyboard, and he's got different like profiles for it, so you can switch it from like a normal use to like a gaming extra sensitive mode.
It's nuts. We've gone from like the Logitech macro keyboards where it was like, like all the G keys to literally per key actuation. And it's kind of interesting some of the other manufacturers getting into keyboards now. So like you have MSI, you have Asus is getting their latest keyboard actually got really good reviews and is apparently very good. Um I can't remember some of the keyboard content creators. Was it Random Frank P? Isn't that one of them?
Yeah,
He's one of the bigger ones. But man, they must be loving this atmosphere right now with all these new keyboards coming out because the Asus ones, I think it's called like the Falchion or something, is really interesting to me. I saw it when I was at CES, I think.
yeah, and I feel like we had a couple of boring years where everything was like, mechanical keyboards are great, but they kind of had like run its course on the like evolution of what they were doing with the current technology, and it was just like, oh, I made one bigger, I made one smaller, I made one thin. Now we've got, and they were all RGB, of course, but now we're getting
Oh,
these like, these new switch tech, and they're doing cool stuff like the like SnapTap stuff, which I know is getting banned, but like
yeah.
where you like, as soon as you hit another key, it cancels your input, like. There's a really cool, even if it's not banned, the fact that we've come up with that technology is just really great, I think.
So it's not a gaming keyboard, but I think one of the recent releases from Razer was actually really interesting. So they essentially, one of my favorite keyboards, and the ones I use, is I have a Logitech um, like a Pro X or
I think that's one of those.
but it's like the model that's used for like office work and stuff, right?
Mm,
So it's not really great for gaming, but I just love the format of it. It's very small. It's got like those like kind of chiclet style keyboard key presses, but it's really really satisfying to type on. Razer came out with a model literally looks the same. It's like the same thing, but it's Razer. So it has like the better key detection, everything like that. So it's actually like useful for gaming.
oh, nice.
Like Razer coming out with ergonomic stuff is really interesting to me because they came out with a I think they came out with one of the horizontal profile mice. You know what I'm talking about, where you have
Yeah,
your
yeah.
they came out with one of those and apparently it's really highly reviewed. So seeing these gaming brands
Gaming ergo mice. I mean, with how
going
how
into
much time
ergo, yeah.
with how much time people spend gaming, it makes sense. We're gonna have a lot of the repetitive stress injuries and just like all that stuff from
Oh
years
yeah.
of gaming.
Well, part of my appreciation there is that they have quieter switches. So
Oh
like
yeah.
the mouse I use is like a Razer. I think that's what I was thinking. It's like a Razer Pro Click or something. But the clicks are silent, but it has like the response times and everything that you would expect from a gaming mouse.
Oh,
Where the
that's
clicks
great.
are silent, and that is like, oh, I can't stand like mice that are too clicky
No,
because
I get
I got a
it.
wife and kids. I'm trying to quietly game and it's just it sounds like a disaster if I'm doing an RTS and I click 5,000 times.
No, I remember back in high school, I bought a silent mouse. It wasn't a game. They weren't. It wasn't a gaming mouse, but it was like a silent office mouse. And I had bought it so when I was in school, I could stealthily play games without it being 8,000 clicks. And it was quieter. But now we're getting stealthy gaming mice, and I think that's going to be. I might have to investigate one of those again.
I can't live without it, man. I can't do the loud clicks anymore. It just like gets on my nerves because like I zero in on it and I can hear every time I'm clicking, and I'm thinking like my wife can hear every time I'm clicking, my daughter can hear every time I'm clicking. So like messes with my head.
Have you ever
go ahead, sorry.
seen the like comparison of like the sound of someone playing? Like you can hear the keyboard and mouse, and you can see like what's happening on screen. Like you can tell how intense someone's game is just from the sound of their mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, it's like nuts. Like, yeah, I always have to have brown switches on my keyboards because I can't do like when it's too clicky and noisy. Like are they the not red?
The blues.
Green?
The blues are really clicky.
Man, I can't remember all the switches are so different now. I can't remember like the names of them, but like I think it was like Razer's yellow switch or something is like obnoxiously clicky, and I just
Yeah, I've got a keyboard back there with whites, which are somehow clickier than blues. It's
blues. That's what I was thinking of. Blues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody had one of the blue keyboard switch one in our office back when I worked in an office, and oh man, that was awful. People were calling HR about it. It was so loud.
Oh wow. I feel like at least with Jawa here, we could show up with a keyboard and it's a little bit less frowned upon to have the crazy mechanical keyboard, but I don't think anyone's had like obnoxiously loud switches. But I can't remember how loud Andrews is.
Andrews is like stocky. It's got like that talk to it, but it's not annoying. It's like it's kind of satisfying actually.
Okay.
It's not clicky. That's the thing. It's thocky, but it's not clicky. And I feel like that's a very important difference because like the click is a sharper, harsher sound, and then
it penetrates the headphones better.
Like, plop, plop, plop. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. No, I know the sound. It's very distinct. And then for mice, since we touched on that a little bit, what do you think makes a good gaming mouse in 2025?
For me, it's really hard to figure out what's a good gaming mouse because like all of them have really good polling rates. All of them have, really good response time and everything like that. Like even a Bluetooth gaming mouse right now is like, because of the new Bluetooth standards and everything, is quite usable. I'm not one of those crazy people who like flicks my mouse halfway across the mat or like game sideways. Like I know people game like kind of sideways. I can't do that. Like more power to those people, but like it's hard for me to find like a really good mouse that resounds with me because I'm not that into it. I still play, like I play my Helldivers 2 and Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I'm not to the level where the mouse really makes a difference in my performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I've gone to the ultralight. I've gotten on board the ultralight mouse bandwagon the last couple of years. I used to have like the Corsair Dart Core, which was like a 120 gram mouse, which is pretty heavy now, and everything's like sub 60. Now I'm on the Corsair like M70. Yeah, that's one of the ultralight.
The Steel Series something or other.
Aerox 3 it looks like.
Aerox something. I think it is an Aerox 3.
I've got one on my shelf behind me.
The lightest mouse I own. So
those are
next to the
grams.
Razer Pro Click one, which I think you can make it lighter if you like swap out for like different battery size or something.
That makes sense.
But it makes no difference to me. Like if anything, I'll probably buy that Noctua mouse when it comes out because it's got a fan for your sweaty gamer hands.
I might need that.
That technology intrigues me. I'm like, we got holes in mice. Where's the fan to cool my hand off?
Yeah, I mean they saw an opportunity and they went for it. That's I saw a heated mouse before too for like gaming in the winter. Now we've got both. You're
just not playing at a high enough level if you need a heated mouse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Just more actions per minute.
Enough. Yeah.
No, it's been really interesting seeing like all the peripherals. I feel like peripherals were big this year at like Computex. It felt like that was a lot of and like case
They
mods.
were pushing pretty hard at CES with like the MSI new peripherals, the ASUS ones. They were pushing them pretty hard. There's another manufacturer I can't think of off the top of my head that's getting into peripherals as well, and that was kind of interesting to me. Be quiet. That's who it is.
Yeah, though their new keyboard.
And
Well, that's the giveaway for our competition. Is their new keyboard?
I know I need to beg our rep to see if he'll send me some stuff to try out. I've been wanting to try it out. That new one they had with like the modules.
Oh, I know. I
like
want
that.
it. That's
Looks
the prize.
really interesting to me.
I was tempted to like, enter the competition to see if I could win it. For the new build competition we're doing with them. But no, because it's like it has the built-in Stream Deck, which I'm a huge fan of, and you can do the left side number pad, and I'm a monster who likes my number pad on the left side. So it would have been perfect for me.
Monster. Numpads. I'm out of the numpad game. TKL for life.
I'm literally an accountant. I can't not have a number pad. It's everything I do.
I can't do it anymore. I guess I don't do it enough to justify it.
I'm on a 60%. I'm on a 60% with a numpad, which is I feel like the most unhinged combo because I don't even have arrow keys, but I have the number pad.
You're on a watch list somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, and I have 2 Stream Decks. That's I have more Stream Deck keys than I have keyboard keys, which is very efficient. So I think that's everything for peripherals.
Yeah, should we move on to underrated PC games you need to play? Which I think you're going to defer to me on this because I'm old and you just play League of Legends, right?
Yeah, I'm a fake PC gamer, really. And the only reason I'm on PC is that it's the only platform that has League. So I definitely need my 4080 for that. That's essential.
Oh, essential. Yeah, you got to have that FPS.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about this the other night, and there was one game that really came to mind that I played on Game Pass. I think it's off Game Pass now, but it was at the time, and it was one of those ones where I was browsing through Game Pass and was like, "Huh, never heard of that." And it was a space game, so it was like kind of a mostly linear story, but you're in a spaceship and you're fighting against these cult people or something or other. But Chorus is the game, and it reminded me a lot of I think it's called Everspace. More there was a game back way back that I used to play called Earth and Beyond that was like a first person or third person type like spaceship game, and it reminded me a ton of that. Just the feel of it. It was very good. I think if you could compare it to anything, it'd probably be like Elite Dangerous and like the aesthetic and everything like that. But that game, I played through the whole campaign and everything like that, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It had a great story. It had good dogfighting and everything like that, and that is probably one of the top ones that I think was very underrated. I think it kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah, that sounds. I love a good any game with a good flying mechanic. Like one of them, I don't have a lot of other games I play, but one of the ones I do play is PlanetSide. PlanetSide 2, yeah, and it has I love the piloting system. It's not the best, but it's so interactive of having that you can have flying vehicles in a world with ground wars going on and tanks, anti-aircraft guns. It's a very complete world compared to a lot of other dogfighting games. So I love that aspect of that. And that's I'd say it's underrated, but it's also just like a 10-year-old game. So is it really, I don't know if it's really underrated or not. It's just old.
Yeah, it is. It's quite old. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other really, I mean, I did mention Earth and Beyond, and that's honestly, that's kind of like, if there's a game you should play that's like an old MMO that, you don't have to pay for nowadays. Earth and Beyond is still around. It was like a game when EA was taking over Westwood Studios. But I played it when I was a teenager, and it was like a spaceship game. It's now run by the community, so I don't know the exact context of it, but I think they reverse engineered the source code or something, figured it out, and then somebody put it together and put a server together and everything like that, and they're able to run it as long as they don't monetize it. I think that's how they
That's
usually get around.
awesome. I love when the companies do stuff like that. There's too many that go. There's games that just die with the company, or whenever it's not
Oh yeah,
worth supporting. So when they open
yeah.
source it or give it to the community, it's really they're like an amazing thing.
It's one of those games that like I still revisit it from time to time, even though I don't play it consistently. I still have like at least one max level character, but um it's still around and it still has like a small community, like really small, probably like 100 players, honestly. Like I don't know how many consistent players they have, but they still like patch it. Like
Oh
they
wow.
add content. I don't know when the last content drop was, but like they've added like sectors and stuff like that. It's just interesting that a game that's it's quite literally like 25 years old or something like that at this point is still going with a community behind it,
Yeah.
even if it's like really small. Just the fact that they're still running it, they still have a server, you can still play like
Yeah. No,
right now.
that's
And it's so minimal hardware requirements. You could play it on a potato at this point, and it would
that's
look
great for
great.
like handhelds and stuff when the stuff like that hangs around because like old games are like what handhelds are perfect for. And
Oh yeah.
I'm using also going to use that as a segue because our last topic is all the handheld news that's been coming out, and
Oh my
it's
God. Yeah. Yesterday they had the Xbox, whatever it's called, their whole game show where they show off all the stuff for summer and everything like that. And of course, they announced the Xbox ROG Ally and Ally X, and they look interesting. I think the most interesting thing about them is the fact that Microsoft is custom building a version of Windows for handhelds, and it's not from the way they displayed it and the way that the slideshow and everything like that. It doesn't appear that the way they're doing that is exclusive to the ROG Ally and Ally X.
no,
So
that's
it
what I've been
looks like
focusing
they're gonna
on.
make it. Oh yeah, and that's exciting to me. That's more exciting than the actual announcements behind the hardware. The hardware is not really that exciting to me. It's
We all knew that's what the hardware would be. It's really an updated, reskinned, Ally. What's the second gen Ally that they had?
the Ally X,
Yeah,
but
Ally
it is
X.
disappointing, honestly, to me, the hardware because the Microsoft ROG Ally, so the base model, I think it's the white one. They announced it's got 16 gigs of RAM. That's fine, but it's slower RAM. I think it's like 5,600 megatransfers or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
pretty.
like the Ally X version is going to have like 8,000 megahertz.
Yeah,
And that's
and
going to be
more of
20.
it. Yeah, that's those 24 gigs, and that makes a huge difference because that gives you 16 gigs of effectively like RAM, and then 8 gigs of VRAM. That's kind of the way I've seen it
Oh yeah.
divided up a lot, and that's in my opinion like the sweet spot for a handheld. So I get like a 24 gig seems like an odd number, but when you've got like 8 gigs of VRAM is good enough for these 1080p consoles, and then 16 gigs for like system memory for RAM, like to be the actual RAM, it seems like a pretty decent point of RAM, but. I'm sure then these processors if people get them doing high resolution that we'll start seeing more VRAM needs.
I mean, so I'm like a huge handheld aficionado. Like I love handhelds. Like they're my favorite things. I have a 1X player, F1 Pro. I've owned the MSI Class 7, both versions, the old one and the newer one. I've owned ROG Ally, I've owned ROG Ally X. I've owned all the handhelds basically, like all the
You even got the new
major
Switch.
industry. Yeah, so all the even the Switch 2, which is behind me, but you can't see it because it's like pitch black. But I've owned all these handhelds. The reason that the hardware isn't really exciting to me is because let's look at it. Like it's still got the 7-inch display. It's the same screen that was on the original Ally, the exact same screen. It's just not enough. I mean, even
Yeah.
Nintendo is coming out with a 7.9-inch screen. Like that's kind of like the expected minimum at this point. And I feel like they're doing people a disservice with the base model with a 60 watt hour battery.
Yeah.
So they can fit an 80 in it. Like why not just put an 80 in it? Like you're gonna probably charge an arm and a leg for it. Like I
Yeah.
just I hate that and what they're gonna say is, oh, it's got the Z2A, which is like a power saving chip, and we're
But you could
saving
get
you
even
2
more
gigs of
battery.
RAM. Yeah, we're saving you 2 gigs of RAM with the custom OS. But like they're cutting all these corners, and the reason they're cutting all those corners is greed. I mean, a great example is look at the Legion Go S. Oh my God. Like, why? Why does it exist? It doesn't need to
Yeah.
exist. And I'm talking about the Z2 Go version. So I'm talking
Yeah.
about the one that has the Z2 Go. Literally worse than the Z1 Extreme. Doesn't need to exist. It's
I don't
I wouldn't say
understand.
waste of silicone, but yeah, I hate the idea of it. I think it's like terrible value.
I don't understand the companies that are the companies that are using them are the ones that already have existing handhelds. Like, I'd understand if it was a new company that keeps coming to the handheld space and maybe their first option is going to go with this budget chip. It's a little smaller option, something, you know, that where they're breaking into the handheld space. But they've already got the Legion Go. I've got one on my shelf back there. Like, this isn't their first entry to it, so there's not really a need for them to have like this ultra budget chip. And they've, you know, they know how to design a good handheld. They don't need to be like, and it's not cheap enough to justify the lower
Oh
end
yeah.
chip.
And that's that a lot of people are speculating on the price on this. I mark my words, I bet you the base model Microsoft ROG Ally, it's probably going to be like 750. And then I think the second tier one is probably going to be probably 900 if they're trying to be competitive with like um, Lenovo and MSI. But that's largely dependent on tariffs. I
Yeah.
mean, that's actually relevant news as ASUS. Best Buy raised their price on the Ally X. Now it's $1,000.
Ooh.
That it's $1,000 if you go online right now. They're going to blame tariffs.
Yeah.
Same with like the original ROG Ally. I mean, they're selling now for like I want to say like 650,
Which is
it's
crazy because it's like with how cheap they go for on the used market, you can get a used Ally Z1 Extreme for like $300.
oh
And the
yeah, I
fact that
got
they're,
one not that long ago from Best Buy, open box for 320.
yeah,
But now the minimum you'll find one for is probably like 475. That's nuts.
you know, and that's like tying back to the GPU market where like these prices aren't coming down because like the new stuff is just so much more expensive. You know, it's the same thing with the handhelds here. And it like, I was worried about holding on to like my Legion Go because I thought I might go to like the new Legion Go 2 or whatever. But because the pricing has been so bad, it's not like depreciating in value.
And I mean the
It's,
performance is like really it's not enough to justify that extra cost. So
yeah,
with the release to SteamOS, like you can use the original Legion Go on SteamOS now. So it's really like, what is the point of this other device to exist when it's like marginally better than it? Well,
it's
the
just different than the,
Go one is not better. Obviously,
yeah.
it's worse and it's more expensive. You could buy an original Legion Go for less, brand new, than
Yeah.
the Go S or whatever the hell they're calling it. It's hard to they try and confuse you too with the models. So they have
Oh
like
yeah.
the Legion Go S or I don't even know the
And they're,
nomenclatures anymore. But then they have
and
the Z1 Extreme model. It's just it's frustrating. Which maybe we should take a little bit of time to talk about the other handheld elephant in the room,
yeah, the
the
Switch,
Switch
how
2.
have you liked it?
I think Switch hate is forced. So I have been playing this since yesterday. I've been playing Breath of the Wild on it, the enhanced edition, which I have a Nintendo Online Plus membership or whatever I paid for like a year for like $50 way back. Mainly because you could play a lot of classic games, and I just let my daughter play classics because she's got a Switch Lite. The hate on this device is, I think it's forced. Is
Okay.
it not a great value? If you have an original Switch, it is not a great value. If you have a Switch OLED, it's not a great value. If you want the latest and greatest that Nintendo has to offer, or you want a substantially improved experience while playing the same games on the Switch, I think it's worth it.
Some of
Um,
One of the backlash points I saw was that if you have your existing games and you plug them in, you're still going to be frame capped to the original Switch's like cap. So unless you pay for like the upgrade or you have the pro membership, I think. I
I
I'm
don't
not in the Nintendo
know.
system enough to know how the exact details on that.
I don't know if that's actually true. And I again, I didn't pay for the upgrades because they're included free if you're part of like the Nintendo Online thing. So like I didn't have to pay $10 for the upgrade for Breath of the Wild or the second Zelda game. if you had to pay that $10, yeah, that's kind of a shitty deal. I think they should have included that by default because I mean PC gamers get it all the time. They get like an enhanced edition. It was like BioShock was a great example where like if you had BioShock 2 and the original one, when they remastered it, you didn't have to pay. You got the remasters for free because you already had them.
Yeah.
I don't like Nintendo's business practices, and I think that resonates with a lot of creators right now. Is like their business practice is kind of scummy. Like we all knew that at some point games were not going to be $60. We knew they were going to go up at some point because the economies are changing. You know, you can't you could probably make a game for $60 nowadays, but like with these crazy AAA budgets and stuff like that, it just like the math doesn't math. Like they have to raise the cost of the games because
Yeah.
you have to pay your developers' salaries, you have to pay artists, you have to pay all unless you're
And
Bungie.
it's
Then
not like, yeah. Let's say it's
yeah,
not
you
depending on
steal
much in the first
everybody's
place.
work. Yeah, if you're Bungie, you just steal everybody's work, but and then you submit a failed game anyway. Um, I think that the Switch 2, you don't have to be a Nintendo fan to enjoy it. I think that if you want to play Mario Kart, if you want to play Mario Party, if you want to play like games in the ecosystem of Nintendo, that it's kind of a no-brainer to upgrade to this because it is substantially better. Like the hardware's better, the experience is better. Should it have been that way from the start? Yeah,
Yeah.
but like
I,
it's a next gen handheld, you know. It
well,
plays Cyberpunk
yeah.
2077 at 60 FPS. Like
I mean, if you look at it from like the point of view of, comparing it to a Steam Deck, it's not, that dissimilar, but then like, the pricing is pretty like on the same level, but then you get into like the game cost and the online subscription. And then that's where Nintendo loses me of like, maybe I would have thought about a Switch 2 as a Steam Deck alternative for me. Cause if I don't do a ton of handheld gaming on the go, but it really just, it doesn't, those extra costs to make it like the minimum bar of ownership so much higher if you want to have a decent game library and occasionally play online.
to me, it's a lot like the Android versus Apple argument, in my opinion. It's like they're two different devices, two different hardware, two different use cases. Like the ecosystems are very different. So like Apple ecosystem, very safe, very easy, very I don't want to say idiot proof because plenty of people use Apple devices. They're not idiots. It's just what they prefer. Android, very much more open. You can do more things like open source kind of deal. You can load stuff, applications that are not on the store, things like that. You can do all that. Nintendo, it's that. It's you want to play Nintendo games. You want to
Yeah.
play, and Nintendo is the most exclusive gaming market there is. Like, like Sony has exclusives, but Nintendo has exclusives that literally never leave. You will never play Mario Party on an Xbox. You will never play Mario Kart on an Xbox.
Well,
That's
with that new Ally and emulation,
that's true. Emulation.
you could technically do it
But
on an Xbox now. That
that's
is,
true. That's true. It's not
they don't
official.
support it, but
Yeah, but
yeah.
when it comes to like the ecosystems, like I think that Nintendo has their niche and the people that enjoy that niche will stick with it. I bought a Switch 2 because I have a 5-year-old daughter that loves Mario Kart, that loves Mario Party. She has a Switch Lite. It runs like shit. I wanted her to have a little bit better experience. And the funniest thing about it is she doesn't even want to play those games. She just wants to watch me play games. But the
Gotta
fact
get
of the
like
matter is that nobody does the Nintendo games as good as Nintendo. Like you can emulate it, sure, but like it's still emulation. There's still like layers to it.
yeah.
And it still requires the know-how. It's a
No,
lot
it's not
less
easy.
deep of a barrier nowadays with all, you can literally get like an app on your phone. You can play like GameCube games and stuff. But it is still an obstacle. It's still there. There's still that it's much like, an Apple user switching to Android. It's an adjustment. People can do
Yeah.
it. It's just who wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Switch hate is forced. I'm enjoying watching scalpers squirm because they're realizing that there really isn't
Oh yeah.
demand, but there's plenty of supply.
Yeah.
There's Walmarts that still have them on the store shelves. There's Best Buys that still have them on the store shelves. I mean,
I
I was able to
bought
get one online the day after release without waiting in a queue or anything like that. I had to buy a bundle, which GameStop forced on me, but I didn't have to buy it. I could have waited. I just wanted to do it because it was a good deal to me.
No, we blocked one Switch 2 listing so far. I was expecting more, and I think part of that's due to the volume, right? There haven't been that many people attempting to scalp them here. I've seen a couple on Marketplace, but they're not getting bites, and I already saw the prices getting lowered on those. So I'm very happy to see that environment.
Somebody had one for 600, and it was like the Mario Kart bundle, which I think
that's only $100 more, right? Like that's
isn't it? Is it $100 more? Yeah, that's right. It's 500, right? So,
and then tax and all that. That's not crazy. A lot.
And that's not selling. It's been on there since the release day, so I don't think it is going to sell because availability has actually been pretty good. Nintendo wasn't lying when they said that like people wouldn't be struggling to find one.
They're not AMD and Nvidia these last couple launches.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. I was pleasantly surprised that I ordered it on. I think I ordered it on like Friday night, and it got here Sunday. So
nice, that's great.
Can't hate on it. It gave me a full day to play on it. So
yeah, no, it's been a good launch. It seems, even with the usual hiccups, but it seems pretty smooth for the most part.
Yeah, there's some reports of battery bulging, but I haven't seen enough to be worried yet.
Yeah, it's not Note 7.
Note 7 or Razer Blade. I think that's the other one that had a lot of battery bulge issues.
Yeah. Should we get into some of the Jawa topics if we have time?
Yeah, some marketplace topics.
Can do what makes the listing sell fast? I know, and then I think maybe some customer service stories would be good because we got some. I know you got some good ones.
I think what makes the listing sell fast. I think you'd be the pretty good person to ask on that, just because you're the QA for listings. But my personal take is photos. Like,
yeah, I'm with you.
Photos sell it. If you have a good photo or you have a photo that's intriguing enough to get somebody to look at your listing, you could have like the worst description available. If your photos are decent or your price is really good, then it's gonna sell. It might not sell quickly, but it's gonna sell.
Yeah, I think in order of importance, it's photos, price, and then listing title, and then description, and in which order you want to like improve your build. Like, and when I say photo, I do mean like your build has to like, you could have, a photographer come and take professional photos. If you have a crappy looking build, it's not going to sell. So you still have to have a good looking build. But I almost think improving the quality of the photos you take is going to help you sell faster than improving your actual build, at least for like the first bit. Like the marginal return is going to be higher on just improving your photo quality. I mean,
I've seen some really terrible optiplexes sell because they had really good photos and a really good paint job.
Yeah. So, having, the visually appealing, you just need to get people to click on your listing, and then you can actually try to sell them. But if you can't get them to look at your listing in the first place, they'll never read your amazing description. They'll never see your good price or your, whatever title whatever you named your PC. They're never going to see that if you can't get them to click.
It is the dumbest thing, and I hate it, but emojis work.
Oh, emojis in the title,
in your title, they work. It works. Put it in your description. Make a ChatGPT description and tell it to put in some hip like gaming emojis. It works. I hate that it works, but it completely works. Like I've done the testing on my own listings before, where like I had a title and it was like just your basic title, and then I put in some stupid emojis, like I called it like icebreaker or something, and then I put in like ice cubes and like this other dumb stuff. And you know what? It sold like within a couple days. It's so dumb that it works, but it does work.
Now that we're getting a seller dashboard and we're getting we have the listing views, we should really run this experiment again and just see how many more views. Because I know what's happening. I just want to quantify it. I think that'd be a great data point to have, because it does help.
I hate that it helps, but it does help.
Yeah. So I think that's for, selling fast. That really is it. And then the other, like the last thing is really, including benchmark like data, like, you gotta find a realistic, the exact same hardware configuration you have, but having those benchmark data on like Fortnite and other popular games, I've seen it sell systems, because about half of all messages you get written into your listings are going to be asking how many FPS they're going to get on X popular game. So might as well knock that out of the way.
There is a flip side to that though. So when you do have benchmarks and stuff like that, there is that expectation from a customer service perspective that if they report that it's not getting that FPS or getting anywhere near it,
Oh
well,
yeah,
that could put you up for a return. Mainly because that's where they could say it's not as described. So we have seen that from time to time. It's not as prevalent nowadays. I think sellers have gotten a lot better, and just benchmarks are just a lot easier to
we
to
we did
reach
crack
the.
down on some of the crazy claims of the crazy benchmark claims. So we did have some sellers that were like claiming 200 FPS on optiplexes, and we're like, this is not realistic. There's no world that this is happening,
Oh yeah, they're like
and
a
took those listings
14-year-old
down.
Xeon is like better than a Ryzen 2600 or something. They're like it's
Yeah,
equivalent. It's like the only equivalency there is the core count. There's nothing
yeah,
else equivalent about that. Like there's nothing else comparable. Like if you looked at Passmark or any of those other scores, it would not even be close.
yeah. So we've cracked down on that a lot, and it's I think improved the listing quality a fair bit. So well, that's one customer story, I guess, in a sense of the
Yeah,
crazy
so
data.
and this kind of feeds into the GP program as well as like what we've had is I had somebody send in a Radeon HD 7970 or something. I can't remember what it was. Old ATI card for anybody that's not as old as me. Um, because they thought it was whether they knew it or not, they tried to say it was a 7900 XT. So we
And
get that kind of stuff occasionally, and then usually you just tell them, and like they almost immediately are always just like, oh, it's fine, just keep it. Like you don't need to send it back. And it's like I think they knew what they were doing, but I'm not gonna call them out like that, you know.
yeah, no, there's at least we haven't gotten any of the people trying to like put like a 3060 in like the cooler of like a 5090 and trade that in.
No, we
There's
haven't had any weird stuff like that, and like I'm just waiting for somebody to like take the die out of a card or something like that's actually that leads into a good customer service story because that actually happened. We had one time somebody sold a graphics card that it was as is broken. They basically said like I don't know why this doesn't work, and it was actually like a known seller, so it wasn't like some nobody. It was a known seller that had been selling on the platform for a while. They were verified and everything. They sold it as is for parts, made no claims that it worked. Basically said we tried to start it up, nothing happens, fans don't spin, blah blah blah, like whatever. Somebody bought it and then they got it and they disputed it because they said that the core was missing and the memory was missing, and it was. They took the cooler off and they showed and everything like that. Um, but it was as is. There was nothing to indicate that that was a working card or that it was functional or complete. So we essentially had to we couldn't give him a refund because it was as described in the listing. There was nothing to indicate that it worked or nothing to indicate that there was anything present or missing. One of those difficult situations where
yeah,
it's like, like we have to follow store policies to some degree, and it was as is. Like you paid $200 for a GPU cooler essentially, which
it sucks.
sucks, but that's a roll of the dice, and that's why you don't buy an as is for parts thing and expect it to work.
Yeah, that's such a rough situation too, because like there's no way to authenticate one way or the other that the seller knew.
Yeah, and I'm confident the seller didn't know because when we let him know, it was, obviously they didn't want to accept a return on it because they were like, listen, like I was selling this because I didn't know what was wrong with it, and I don't have time to troubleshoot on it because they literally don't. They're like a system builder, so they didn't have time to look into it further. And I mean, I can't say that if we get a card in the GPU program that we wouldn't do the same thing, that we wouldn't, if a card wouldn't boot up, fans wouldn't spin, we would probably just put it in the pile of not working cards. Like
Yeah,
it's not worth testing further than that because if I
to us
take
it
it
makes
apart,
no. Yeah, we just send it back to the
yeah,
person that sent it in.
yeah, or if or put it in the discard pile if they never reply back because that happens.
Yeah,
But it's only worth so much effort to diagnose one of those things, and like if you're moving lots of volume, it's just not worth the time to try and invest to try and figure it out more. It's like
yeah.
dead card is a dead card.
Are there any other crazy customer service? You know, I remember we had the what was it, the Navy SEAL speech from
Oh
one
God, you
seller.
tell that one. That one's you. That one's
Oh,
hilarious. That was
so
a
we have
good
a
one, wasn't it?
yeah, that was we were moderating a chat dispute where someone reported like some of the other party chatting, and in the messages they like threatened that they were like a Navy
I'm gonna
like
hack you.
IT,
Yeah, it was like
yeah,
I'm
IT
gonna hack your
specialist.
system, and then the guy who was like, I think it was the buyer. So the seller was saying like, I'm gonna hack you if you try and do a return or something or other or something like that. And the buyer is just like, buddy, hack me. I work for the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And that's like a immortalized meme now. I think it's a sticker on our server, but just really it's one of those 4chan arguments you would see, you know.
Our version of the Navy SEAL copy pasta, but for PC gaming.
Yeah, buddy. Just the statement of buddy, I work for the Pentagon. Like, oh man, like
Yeah.
you had to know that was going to get framed somewhere if somebody saw it.
I know, and obviously, you know, once you threaten to hack a customer, I think both of them wound up banned just because like you can't really, you know, go around you know, regardless of what they've said, threatening to do that.
Yeah, they both
But
had some inflammatory remarks, and so we had to make that decision to remove them both from the platform after informing them of why.
yeah,
But yeah,
they
you
gave us
can't threaten
that as a
customers. You can't threaten to hack customers. We just can't have that. There's no excuse for it. Oh, I'm back.
all right. I'll edit that part. I went to
Leave it in. Leave it in.
scrolling my Discord DMs. So, let me see here. It's lined up now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I need. Let's see. Is there any other topics we should hit here?
I don't know. What's our time look like?
We're at 53 minutes, so we're pretty good for
3 minutes because we're shooting for an hour, right?
Between 30 to 45 minutes with our like or my. We don't have a set. Amanda didn't give me a target for this, so it was just like 53 to you know. I was aiming for 30 to 45, but we can go as long as we feel like we have good topics.
I mean, an hour is a decent thing. So
Sure.
let's see. What else do we have on there? How we keep Jawa safe from scammers? That's actually probably a good thing we could quickly cover.
Sure.
And it's an easy one. So, I mean, the amount of times we've actually had like scammers on the site is actually pretty minimal. So, we've had incidents where sellers tried to swap tracking numbers. So, like they would pick up like a fake tracking number. I guess you can buy those on the, I don't want to say dark web because that's lame. You can buy them on the internet.
Shadow internet.
Shadow internet, the shadow realm. But you can get, supposedly you can get tracking numbers from like used tracking numbers that'll show that it was delivered recently or whatever. That's actually a thing or used to be a thing, but we plugged that hole pretty quickly. So we have systems now where it checks like for zip code match, and obviously if you reuse a tracking number, that's an issue. We have instances where people combine an order and things like that, but that stuff gets manually reviewed by me. So that's probably a big difference between like us and like eBay or somebody is like, it's literally a person. So it's me or it's Thomas in some situations, like reviewing, does this order look sketch? Does this person, does their chat log behavior, does it look sketch?
Yeah.
We've, of course, had instances where people impersonate support or impersonate other people like, oh, I bought that. We've got some measures in there now where like a little red banner will pop up if somebody's trying to direct you off the site. Which
that was a big one. Yeah,
that was a big one because we had people that were essentially making fake accounts that said like Java support or something, and then they'd throw in that big copy pasta to like, you know, a bunch of people saying like,
greetings, treasured customer. You know,
greetings, treasured customer. They always had some like really super odd phrasing because like they don't.
Yeah.
English isn't their first language, obviously. And they were trying to direct people to like tk.wwx blah 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 to put in their personal information, their credit card info, which to my knowledge, nobody fell for any of those. To my knowledge. I haven't heard any support claims. Nobody submitted a ticket saying that they fell for it. There have always been those people that are skeptics that email in, say, is this real, blah blah blah, and of course I tell them it's not real, don't do that.
And now we have
Most of the time we're like pretty quick to jump on those issues and make sure that those users are banned, which thanks in a large part to the community for reporting those messages when they do show up.
Yeah, especially for those initial ones, those were, the community reports were really quick on it. And now the community reports are still good, but we have an AI tool that helps in flagging it. So we're really proactive now, and they'll get like auto banned before we even see that it's happened now, instead of it having to be reactive. So that's really been great.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that keeps people safe from scammers. So we're really proud of the fact that we have like a very, very low rate of any kind of incident when it comes to like a scam or anybody trying to pull anything, which, you still get like the occasional, like somebody's trying to do return fraud. Unfortunately, there's things that are outside of our control in those situations, but we still make sure that the sellers are taken care of in those instances. So
Yeah.
there was like a recent thing with the UPS where people, I guess, were creating like fake return labels, or I don't know how it works. All I know is that it was pretty easy to figure out that it was something not legit, and so we work with Xcover and Shippo and identify the issue to them, just so that for future instances they know, like, hey, people shouldn't be able to do this with UPS or USPS. So if it does happen, you need to honor the insurance. And in the cases they didn't honor the insurance, we as a platform step in and we make sure that the sellers are made whole.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that we have as a platform is that like our team that is handling this are like experienced sellers. You were selling for years before Jawa was even started. And so you've got all that experience of what it's like to be a seller on the other end of it. And then, myself, I was doing the same, also selling locally and on Facebook and all these other platforms. So we have this like experience that I feel like a lot of the reps at like other companies like eBay and Facebook that they don't have, of like dealing with the issues on the seller side and on the buyer side. And so I think that makes our like, we're a little bit more likely to see issues come up, but we also understand like the perspective of the buyer and seller, I think, a little bit more.
I think one of the big difference between us and eBay is just like size. That always plays a big factor. They have a very, very specific amount of acceptable losses and things like that. And to us, like, I mean, I don't see any losses really acceptable. It's like we try and avoid it where we can through, working through Shippo or any of our other partners to try and like plug any kind of fraud or scams. But we don't punish the buyers for that, or the sellers rather. We punish the buyers.
Yeah.
No. If you try and scam, you will be banned, basically.
Yeah.
No, but that's one of the major differences, is because we are a smaller team, so we're able to field a lot of that stuff a lot quicker and more effectively than eBay, because they don't have to. They can just write it off, and we probably could write it off, but we don't want to because we're a community.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been made that possible for us is like we specialize in one thing, and that's gaming hardware. Whereas like, we can learn the ins and outs of what scams people are doing in gaming, what stuff they're doing, where eBay has to like know every single vertical that they sell stuff in. The scams for car parts are very different from the scams from computer parts.
So they have like 500 categories and 1,000 subcategories. So it's very different in how they have to handle disputes compared to us.
Yeah. So we're lucky on that end, is that we're laser focused on the one thing we do, and we're the best at it. So I think that's good with the scammer technology or the scammer topic. And then any other Jawa topics you want to hit?
No, I think you did kind of my brain. You did kind of mention it earlier, but something for sellers to look out for in the near future is we are improving the dashboard process. So we are going to have process metrics. We're going to have a significant amount of metrics on the dashboard in the near future for sellers. So you'll be able to see things like your sales numbers, your was it like click rates? I can't remember if that's.
I haven't seen the new dashboard yet. I'm excited to see it.
You haven't even seen it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically, there's going to be a lot of information on there that's going to be really helpful for sellers to understand, like ways they can improve their store, if there's any shortfalls, if they have a higher return rate, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of information that we're going to be able to provide to sellers on the dashboard, and that's coming very, very soon. So
I'm
something to be
excited for
excited
it.
about. Yeah, because we're trying to really improve the seller experience. We've made a lot of progress improving the buyer experience with like express checkout and things like that. So we're trying to focus on the buyers and make sure that, you know, coming to Jawa as opposed to eBay is worth your time. So that you have the tools to improve your store, so that it makes it easier to sell on the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah. I'm excited. More metrics, you know, like more optimizing listings, more testing, figuring out what works. It's going to be great. And like, you know, whenever I've used the dashboard features on like Facebook or eBay, you know, they've given you know, some data, but I feel like a lot of the time those platforms are really trying to like just get you to pay for like, you know, whatever boosting features they have, and we don't have any of that right now. It's all organic traffic. So like our dashboard is just going to be, you know, showing you what works and is going to help you just optimize your listings.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a lot of bloat, so it's gonna be pretty precise in what we're showing you.
Definitely. All right. So I think that's our first Jawa.
That is the first Jawa podcast. So yeah, name to be determined. Maybe we could just have people vote on what they want the name to be. So,
we're gonna end up with like podcast McPodcast face if we do that. We can't.
I mean,
democracy. That's
opposed.
dangerous.
I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, Jawa McJawa Man, or like the Spaceman podcast or something. I don't know. Who knows? The community is very very.
Maybe we'll
creative.
pull the Discord. That'll be
Yeah, we can show them this initial podcast and have them determine a name for us. So yeah, if everybody likes this, let us know, and we're going to continue doing it every week. What, Mondays?
Yeah, I don't know when this is going to get published. That's my editing skills are going to be the main bottleneck.
Yeah, everybody, make sure you send Thomas money for coffee. He needs it.
I know, no more Monster for me. I need coffee money.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. We'll have some great discussions in the coming weeks. I think there's a lot of tech news out there, so yeah, we're hoping to cover what we can.
Yeah.